All Indiana Podcast Network. This is AC's Conversations. AC's Conversations is about sports, music, TV, movies, and more.
Everything and more. Everything is ready to go.
That include the latest news and rumors, along with interviews with the biggest names in sports and entertainment. This is AC's Conversations with your host, News 8 Sports Director.
The man is the real deal.
Let's go to work, fella.
Anthony Calhoun.
Anthony Calhoun here with you tonight. I'm joined now by the one and only, y'all know who this is, Greg Rakestraw, the Vice President of the ISC Sports Network. Greg, it is always great to have you here, part of our show when we're talking about high school, anything sports, but obviously now getting ready for the basketball state championship. You and I both, Indiana, we know how special this month is when it comes to all the madness on the hardwood. Before we get to just breaking down some of these brackets, I want to ask you this first. What's your level of enthusiasm as you get set here for postseason play tomorrow?
Well, I think what's unique, and obviously we'll kind of finish this off with state finals picks a few minutes from now, but you have one class that has a distinctive favorite in terms of Fishers in 4A, trying to become the third 4A champ since 2018 to run the table and go unbeaten. But you have so many contenders in 1A, 2A, 3A, and in 3A because of schools that have dropped down, as the IHSA has shrunk 4A and moved schools like Attucks, Cathedral, and New Pal, who are amongst the best teams in the state. They're playing for a 3A championship this year. And there are teams that have moved up with a success factor, like last year's champs you referenced in Brownstown Central, what Blackhawk Christian has done consistently. So, for example, I think the 3A class AC has never been better than it has been going into this tournament.
Every year is never the same, right? It's one we love about March Madness when it comes to when it comes to high school basketball. What do you enjoy the most when you get ready and you're looking at these brackets here and you understand these students know, hey, look, it's all or nothing. You got to get it done. You win, you move on, you lose, and your season's over.
Well, to me, I think about how lucky we are to be here in Central Indiana, where we've got such a wonderful selection of great tournaments. We'll break down 3 different tournaments in the 4A group. But you can have the argument this year, is the Carmel sectional the best? Is it the Muncie Central sectional that's the best? Is it the one that's at Lawrence Central, which again does look different because no Cathedral, no Attucks. Those two are going to likely play each other on a Friday night, like 15 blocks where you and I are having this conversation right now up at Shortridge. We are so ridiculously lucky in Central Indiana and statewide. We have so many wonderful games and matchups we can choose from.
All right, so I want to talk about the section that I think a lot of people are going to be keeping their eye on. That is Sectional 8 at Carmel High School, and we'll be bringing you coverage throughout the week right here on Wish TV. And when we saw the drawings come out, I'm like, what? We got number 1 Fishers against number 2 Westfield. But before that, we got Carmel against Noblesville. I'm just saying this, if you're trying to get a seat to this game, you better arrive early. Of course, that's the second game, but you're at Carmel. You know the Greyhound fans are going to show up as well.
Yeah, I think it was our friend and your colleague, Andrew Chernoff, that tweeted out earlier today, maybe like 300 seats are available at most, I think, for Tuesday night's doubleheader. And again, shameless plug time, you can catch the Fishers-Westfield game, both semis on Friday, championship Saturday on our sister station, MyNDTV 23. Westfield Fishers, and for Westfield, they drew Noblesville the opening round last year, and they were both in the top 3. This year, they're number 2. They get number 1. Now, let me say this. Fishers only played 5 games that were single-digit wins all year. Westfield was one of them, and Westfield led for a good chunk of that game 3 weeks ago. So if anybody can get Fishers out of the gate, it might be Coach Sumter's Shamrocks.
And so if you're a fan, you're there on Tuesday and, of course, Friday, then leading up to Saturday, but how special is that going to be for just look, we know about Indiana basketball. We know how special it is when it comes to other states, when it comes to high school basketball. How awesome is that going to be there at Carmel High School for these games?
The atmosphere is amazing. I've been there when that place is full, just like I have been at LN, Warren, LC so many times over the years.
Yeah.
Again, we can appreciate it. November through February, there's something different when the calendar flips to March, and we get to experience that all of 24 hours from now.
Cannot wait. Okay, let's take a look at Sectional 9 here. Here's another one that I think a lot of folks are going to be talking about. We showed you earlier in the show. We talked about Greenfield Central, but tell us who else we should keep our eye on in that bracket there in that region.
So for as good as Greenfield has been the last 2 years, and again, Braylon from a national standpoint kind of blew up recruiting-wise during the course of the offseason. But again, New Pal beat them last year, and New Pal is now in 3A. Anderson knocked off Greenfield Central 2 years ago. They're top 10 as well. They're led by Damian King, who averaged 22 points a game. And Mount Vernon lost a couple players to start the season. but they've got Luke Ertl who's going to go to Purdue in a couple of years, and he is fantastic. So 3 really good teams here. Greenfield Central is the favorite, but it's going to be tough to get past Mount Vernon and Anders.
Okay, let's take a look at sectional 11 now at Avon. It seems like this sectional is wide open, and any one of these 5 teams could possibly win this, right?
And again, this is kind of a different grouping. So kind of the best teams, what was kind of sectional 11 and sectional number 12, have now been merged to this West Side sectional. We have a Hendricks County half of the bracket with Avon, Brownsburg, Winter getting Plainfield, then Pike and Ben Davis. We had that game on MyNDTV on February the 6th with Ben Davis coming from behind to win. And really, I think you can make a case for 4 of the 5 teams. Record-wise, Avon has the best record coming in.
All right, cannot wait. It all gets underway coming up on Tuesday in the boys basketball state championship run. Okay, so last year, this guy right here, we put him on the hot seat. He had to make his predictions on who he thinks will win a state championship. And so last year, not too bad. 4 classes, you split them. You had 500, 50-50. So how you feeling about it this year, man? Again,
I think there's one definitive favorite, and I say this, and they could be done as of tomorrow night. It'll be Fishers in terms of 4A.
Yeah.
Then when we get to 1A, 2A, 3A, it's a little bit different. So in terms of 3A,
here we go.
Listen, Cathedral is really good. Addix is fantastic. They just beat Ben Davis and Carmel back-to-back games, but Julius Gizzi, he's the leading scoring Gizzi. For those who don't know, he, his brother, his sister, and his mom are like the 2 leading scorers in girls and boys basketball in the history of New Pal. Julius just topped the family charts. Wow. We're going to go with Fort Wayne Lures in a loaded 2A, just because they play largely a 4A schedule in the Summit Athletic Conference. And if you haven't heard about the Eels from Clay City, in fact, Clay City and Northview, the 2 high schools in Clay County, both out of the tournament with 1 loss. Give me the Eels to get it done.
Let me ask you this. You got Fishers there 4A, so from sectional 8, you think the winner of that sectional goes all the way?
So here is their path. If they were to, whoever wins that sectional then would play the winner of the Kokomo Lafayette Jeff Harrison group, which is sectional 7, which is very balanced of good teams, but whoever wins the Hamilton County section will be the favorite. Then at that point in time, Crown Point is the best of those other teams with Warsaw right behind them.
Yeah.
Fishers played them at the Hall of Fame Classic. Warsaw played them tight. But again, if Fishers can get through that sectional, they should be the favorite, as they were a year ago, to be the northern representative in the 4A state championship game.
All right, once again, reminder, tomorrow we got the game, right?
Correct. So Carmel and Noblesville is stream only, ihsaatv.org. Our coverage on MyNDTV 23 begins at 7:30. Number 1, number 2, Fishers in Westfield.
Cannot wait. Always good to see my man.
Thanks, buddy.
Don't work too hard, bro, okay? Don't work too hard, but it's going to be fun.
We don't have real jobs. This is great. We're in sports for a living.
That's right.
Discover more at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to follow and subscribe to the AC's Conversations podcast and others on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Connect now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.